With 20 years in the education field, from teacher to administrator, she was recently tapped to head up the Department of Education. Please welcome to Capitol Report Commissioner Brenda Casilius. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Commissioner, you've been in your office now for about 6 months. Let's talk first on the latest, the budget negotiations, the offer from the Republicans earlier this week to the governor. Particularly an offer that increases education $80 million more than what the current proposal is. What do you think of this latest offer?
Well, you know, I think it's good that they are recognizing that we need to make an investment in education. They had come with about $44 million worth of cuts, and we had a modest increase of about $36 million. So I think that's a recognition there. Add $44 million and $36 million, it equals $80 million. And so I think it's a recognition that we need to be making investments in our children and in our futures.
And obviously, priority education is your priority. It's also a priority for the GOP and the DFL and the governor. But how are their priorities? How are all of these sets of priorities differing, and how does that create a challenge for you?
Yeah, it is challenging because we do have some differences, but we have a lot of areas that we agree. So one area of difference is around early learning. And you know, we've just had the race to the top, and the secretary was here, and we're very interested in going for those federal dollars and leveraging that. So early learning, all-day kindergarten, priority for us. Reading is a priority for both of us. So reading by third grade and reading well by third grade is a priority. I think also innovation and rewarding excellence is a priority, and so Senator Olson and Chair Garofalo have both said that they want to reward excellence. Senator Olson wants to do that within rewarding for literacy, which I think is very commendable, and we're interested in that as well. And so, you know, those are some areas that we agree on.
She chairs the Senate Education Committee, and she joins us now to give us her perspective on the budget negotiations currently going. Senator Jen Olson, thank you for joining us on Capitol Report.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's begin with the latest proposal that was introduced on Monday by the GOP leadership to the governor, specifically with education. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, it focused on the priorities, and I think it was accommodating the governor's interest in putting some more funds in education, as well as public safety and the courts, our key responsibility constitutionally. And so how could one complain? Actually, education has been treated very well in terms of not being expected to make major cuts. Having said that, one should also be aware of the $5 billion shortfall. You know, you hear them talking about 3.6 instead of 5, because that's because 1.4 billion is already being carried by education by not reversing the shift in payment schedule, and that is with the agreement of the school districts. They would prefer to carry it rather than have it, you know, either have it paid back on a one-time basis, but also they would rather have it come back as the statute now allows.
Okay, listen, you just focused on priorities briefly there. Let's talk about the priorities. The GOP compared with the DFL, compared with the governor, what are the priorities for each concerning education? Because generally speaking, education is considered a priority for everyone. Just how they go about it is slightly different. How challenging is that for you then, as the chair of the committee, to try to find agreement on what these priorities are and how to fund them?
Well, I think the challenge is because some of the same words and language is used by everybody. But that can mean different things, or it does not always address what some of the real challenges are.
Can you give me a specific?
Yes, I will. We can talk about funding education, and there's an effort to at least keep them whole. We have not been able to have significant growth overall in funding, although there are about $470 million that's additional dollars that is going to education that will accommodate additional student load and additional special ed needs and that type of thing. We also have backfilled for the one-time stimulus money, and that's so totally already there's about $900 million in state funds between the two biennia invested in education. So that does not constitute a cut. The challenges are in recognition that We have a system of funding now and structure in our system that looking forward is not financially sustainable. And so how do we work towards some reforms that will keep the system sustainable, but also while recognizing the changing demands on education for improving student achievement and closing the achievement gap. That's one of the reasons that I've focused for the last number of years on literacy and reading by third grade, because when it gets right down to it, you know, the kids that are needing remedial in college, it always goes back to reading and math. And so the reading and math areas are ones that we should be taking a good hard look at how we lay the foundation.